Citrus care is so important when it comes to growing citrus. There are many things we all need to know. Number one is that citrus is an evergreen. They're in the shrub family, as you can see here. Just as an example, that means that citrus does not go dormant. They always are basically growing and showing us signs of different things. Before you go out and purchase a citrus tree, you must know your growing zone, okay? And if that means if you can actually grow citrus, I'm going to share with you all some things to think about before growing a citrus tree. Let's talk, guys. It's very important before we get into our conversation today is to know that where we are in Zone 9 Beach, Valley, California. We have a mild winter, and it's very important that if you're growing citrus trees and you're in like in Zone 7, Zone 8, Zone 6, is that you're going to have to protect your trees throughout in the daytime and night. So it's very important to understand that if at your night temperatures is what cause citrus to go in a defense mode, okay? Not so much in the day, but at night. And this is because there is no heat absorption to protect your tree, okay, in the daytime. I want to make this quick and I want to just allow you guys to know that you're going to need either a frost blanket, okay, or Christmas LED lights from the 1960s that has some heat, warmth that could bring heat or warmth to it, or even using your home or a microclimate that will actually protect your citrus. And you could, if you're growing in containers, you can definitely put your tree in the garage or grow your citrus indoors. In a matter of fact, but if you want to bring it back outside, you can. You have choices. But if you're growing a tree in the ground, you're going to definitely need some type of protection. Okay, so citrus, all citrus is going to need protection once those temps hit 28 degrees and below. Okay, no matter if you're growing in the ground or container, especially at night, you're going to need protection. Frost blankets, LED lights again, or like a fire pit in between your citrus, or that microclimate has to give it some warmth. Okay, let's continue to talk. One of the things very quickly is that is testing your soil, no matter if you're growing in the ground or in containers. And I keep telling individuals this. This is very important that your soil pH levels matters when it comes to citrus. Citrus loves a pH of between 4.5 and 5.5. 5.0 is very great. You don't want to go over that really, but 5.5 will allow your citrus to do okay. If you're going to grow in the ground, you can use a soil amendment. I'm gonna show you what I'm talking. If you want to make your own soil amendment very quickly, you can use sphagnum peat moss. You can use fine bark. You can use azaleas rhododendron and mix it into your soil when growing in the ground or in the containers. If you're gonna make your own, these two bags of soil is very key to our garden here in Zone 9 Bean Central Valley, in our garden, in our property we are now. We use these two soils, okay? Now, sometimes I just use the raised bed potting soil by Kellogg's, and this is because it was recommended to me and it works. It's for fruit trees. But the reason why this is a popular soil is because it has fine bark. Okay, it has the bark that citrus love. Okay, it's somewhat acidic. It has some the ingredients that citrus love. Now we sometimes we have a couple of trees out of the five trees we have that we just use the Zegas rhododendron. You can also use cactus soil. You can succulent soil. You can use citrus fruit tree soil by stone. You have choices, guys. You can just use topsoil, whatever you want. You can just use your native soil, whatever you want to do. It's up to you. Okay, guys. What are the things that we have to to realize is that the University of Agriculture will tell us, especially when growing in containers and even in the ground, they will say, "Oh, you have to feed your tree 3 times out of the growing season or year, basically." However, for me, I believe that it's very important, and this is my theory. This is not, no one else's theory, but my theory is to always feed your tree, because your tree is always hungry. Just like we eat every day and we get hungry, they are also hungry as well. And my motto is feed it what you can. Composting is key. Whether you're using fresh food scraps, digging that hole, composting in place with fresh food scraps, or just using bad compost, or using your own compost you made, it is very very key. Another thing you can do is use earthworm castings, that manure. Earthworm castings is a beneficial um, to your fruit trees, or even especially your citrus. Another thing you can do is use your own fresh chicken manure. You have chickens, go ahead and do that. It's up to you. Now, some of y'all ain't gonna like what I'm about to say. However, you can even use dead animals. Yes, I said it. Yes, I did. I said it. That's right. It doesn't really matter, because what happens was when that animal decomposes, what's happening is it's actually absorbing phosphorus into the soil, which is bone meal. Okay, phosphorus helps with the growth of, basically, with the root system. And then we have potassium, which also helps with flowering, and then it also brings off nitrogen. So any type of dead animal, well, it could be fish, and they love fish fertilizer, right? But fish, you guys, whole chicken, you can use any type of, a bird, basically any type of rodent, anything, guys. I'm just trying to make it easy for you to understand. It doesn't matter. Feed your trees. You can also use a liquid fertilizer, such as fish emulsion or fish fertilizer with molasses. Fish fertilizer with seaweed kelp. It has what? Fish, which we call phosphorus, potassium, and then that seaweed extract also helps it bring out more nitrogen. Or you can just use, if you're very concerned about leaf growth, you can use blood meal, alfalfa meal, kelp meal, fish meal. So you have options. Let's continue on. One of the things I have always been asked is, when is the best time to air layer in J. Cali? And I'm going to be honest with you, I have made so many mistakes with air laying and grafting, and I finally got it right this year, 2021. And the best time is actually early spring. And I found that out last year in 2020 by a agriculture master gardener, and they're in my area, zone 9B, Central Valley, and they told me that it is actually early spring. Now, and the reason why I said it, because so many YouTubers will say, go ahead and do it, go ahead and do it now, do it, but in reality it's really early spring. And I had learned my lesson, guys, and I'm gonna show you why I learned my lesson. Because in the summertime, I had tried to air layer onto our tree. You can see it healed itself. It's a scab. Citrus are very, very defensive, and this is going on with grafting and also protecting itself. And I want to show you what I mean. We're going to come over here towards our Aurora Satsuma, which is a cold hardy tree. So if you're in zone 6 below, 654, you can get away with growing an Aurora Satsuma because it's very, very cold hardy, and you can still protect it with a frost blanket throughout your fall winter months. Okay, guys, so just know that. But this is one of the trees you can grow in your growing zone. Okay, now you see this rip here. I didn't do this. The tree did this, and the reason why it did this is because it protects itself from pests, certain insects, like aphids, spider mites. Uh, they like the citrus. They like the citrus tree for some reason. I don't know why. And this other beetle, Japanese beetle, that is very very dangerous, that's killing citrus, also loves it too. But this is what happens when you mess with them. They start to defend themselves by ripping or tearing, cracking. And what happens is it actually release the essential oils, and the pests that you may have may just basically die. Okay, you won't know it, but they did after that. But they will die. Okay, so this is what it does. I'm going to show you one more thing, and we're almost finished. One of the things that you want to be aware of is leaf curl. Okay, and it happens. What happens? Why? You might say, why is my tree curling? And one of the things that it would do to defend itself, it will basically tell you that it has a disease or issue. And I'm going to show you this leaf. I tore it off so you can see. But this is what happens. Wait, can you see? You can't see that. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let's get it right here. You see that? Let's get into focus. You can see a little bit. There we go. A little bit. You see that like that little light color in there? That is leaf miner. Okay, leaf miner happens when when you have new leaves forming on your tree. You would definitely see the silky, shiny little maze it develops. So that leaf miner is basically sucking up all the nutrients from the leaf. Okay. Number two, it will also tell you that it needs more water or it needs nutrients. And you can see the yellowing of the leaves. You can use chelated iron, Epsom salt. And also, this also tells you that it needs some more feeding. Like I told you, citrus are always hungry. So feed your trees no matter what. Okay. Now, the last thing I want to say is pruning. Pruning is very key. However, you have to be careful. I want to show you actually an example of when to prune and when not to prune. Now, guys, it's very important to really understand that you should never ever cut your baby citrus tree central leader, especially when it's. Now, guys, you see this. We're using an example. I want to show you this, but it's very important. Okay, when your tree is a baby, you should not cut your tree at all. Prune it. Do not prune your citrus tree unless it is touching the inside branch. The branches are touching. Okay, now if it's in one of these containers here, don't prune it. Now, if it's in this 1 gallon container and that branch is touching, go ahead. However, you should not do it. One thing that people have been doing too, I have noticed, is that they say to cut the central leader. Do not do that. That is the main tree. You should never cut a citrus tree main leader. It is not a deciduous tree like a stone fruit tree. That is a no-no. Yes, your tree needs sunlight and air. However, you just now caused your tree to really die if you cut the main leader. Okay, what I mean by that? Well, the thing is, we're going to use this tree for an example. This is only like a 3 or 4 year old tree now, okay, guys? And one of the things that if I decided to cut right here, let me get right here, guys, I just killed my tree without even realizing it. Okay, it is not. You might get some growth. You just might. Okay, but if I decide to cut all this off, I just killed my tree without even recognizing it. It may grow, it may not. It all depends. You're taking risk. Just let you know that. But I want to come over here and I want to show you something. And I'm sorry for all the movement here, but I want to just make sure you guys see this. What I mean by branching, touching each other, of course, branching. You only want to move or remove the branch if it's touching the other branch, like this. Cross branching, like that. Okay. Now, because this tree is young, I have options with this branch. Because the branch is so young, I can actually train it to stay like this, okay? And I could use like a weight, or I could just do this every day, okay, gently, and try to get this branch to just do this every day, okay, little by little, and it will be fine, okay? I'm putting weight on this, and I'm sorry, y'all see my hands are starting to ash up, y'all. It's too cold out here. For some reason, I don't know why, every time I put lotion on, come outside, my hands start to ash. I don't know why. I don't know what happens. It bugs me so much, and I see it all the time on a video. It bugs so much. But look, this is all you got to do, like this. Okay, so you have options. Okay, now you can see. Okay, this tree has so much blooms and whatnot. which is great. Another thing as we go is that you want to place mulch on your tree, okay? And that's only to protect the feeder roots, okay? No matter if, especially if you're growing in containers, you have to put mulch. And the reason why, because mulch in the fall winter months protect the root system from being too cold. In the spring and in the summer, it helps to keep moisture, okay? Even in the fall winter months, but it also helps to keep the tree had to have not to be over water basically and to keep it moist, okay? Because citrus don't like wet feet, okay? So you don't want overwater and you don't want underwater basically. Well, there's no such thing as underwater, but y'all know what I'm saying. But this is very vital. Now, when it's growing in the ground, okay, it is very important not to over mulch your tree. Okay. Now, some individuals will say that not to place mulch at all. But your tree, especially in the fall, winter months, as it's cold, it needs a blanket to stay warm, okay? Because you can kill a citrus tree if it's not protected in the winter, fall, winter months, if it doesn't have a blanket, okay? It happens. You have to mimic nature no matter what. And nature knows best. When those leaves start to fall, those deciduous trees, it's protecting itself for the fall, winter months, okay? So that it can have a blanket. And let's be honest. Let's be honest. Let's take us as humans. We don't like it when it's cold. Some of us, anyway. We like a warm home, a warm blanket to lay under. Well, citrus does too. I'm NJ Cali Gardner. Thank you all for watching. Until next time, peace.